Hello, it is spooky season. Spooky season. Welcome! Welcome to the first video of spooky season. Today we are celebrating appropriately and doing a build of the Addams Family Manor from the original Addams Family film that came out in 1991. Did y'all watch this movie as a kid, or have y'all seen it in your adult life? Or if you were too young to watch it when you were a kid, or maybe not born, depending on math, this film holds up. It's filmed really beautifully, really fun characters. If you haven't seen it, check it out. If you have, buckle up. I hope you feel like this is a good replica of the house in the film because it was gorgeous. I was kind of gagged when I actually watched the film back. The sets are really beautiful. Obviously in a gross, disgusting, decrepit way, but really, really beautiful. So this build took me so much longer than I had anticipated because their house is filthy, nasty. They got a lot of stuff, a lot of clutter, and I wanted this to be as detailed and realistic and accurate to the film as possible. So if you like cluttered, chaotic builds, y'all, this is the video for you. So let's take this little tour. Couple things off the top here. First off, I think the Addams Family is often associated with really gothic sort of aesthetic. And at least in this film, they really kind of weren't, at least not in the sort of traditional Victorian sense. Their home is definitely more along the lines of that sort of mid to late 80s Beetlejuice style, if you've seen that movie, Beetlejuice style kind of starkness. And, for instance, basically all of the walls in this house are beige. So be warned, if you haven't seen the film, this is not really going to be a gothic cave that you may associate with the Addams Family. And lastly, before we get started, there are a couple of rooms that are just either not represented in the film or basically just like one shot and that's it. So I took a few liberties with this. Okay, yeah, anyway, let's get started. We're going to check out the Addams Family Manor in The Sims 4. First up, we're going to check out the grounds. So we're going to go around the manor. On the right side, we're going to pass Morticia's Conservatory, her Garden of Thorns, to go to the family cemetery. I feel like this is a standout moment in the film. So many statues and sort of iterations of Addams Family members of the past. And so I definitely wanted to include this in this build. And we also have the incredible, what is it? A tombstone sofa that was included in the film. And then we're going to swing around back to a little peek of the interior we're going to check out soon. And then we also have these sort of exit points for Pugsley and Wednesday. I don't know what to call them. The grates, the gates, the chutes. I don't know. But yeah, that's the exterior. This is a pretty simple exterior. Really where things get more fun is definitely on the interior, but it does have a really notable silhouette. Here we are inside the Addams Family home. So here we are in the main entryway. We have our double grand staircase that leads up to a room on a platform up there. In the film, this was circular. We did octagonal here because circular round rooms are wild. But yeah, here it is. This is a little taste of what the aesthetic of this home is. I hope you feel like it feels like the movie if you're a fan. I will say too that the house is in terrible shape. So we are going to be making full use of the cracks and the scrapes and the scuffs and the cobwebs and everything that The Sims has to offer to make this feel like an older home or a home that has definitely fallen out of repair. And I will say, if you intend to download this, a big pet peeve of mine in The Sims 4 is when you build and you have things on walls that don't go down when the walls are put down. And a lot of times these cracks and things like that tend to do that. So I was really mindful about the number of pillars that I was placing here and also the placement of anything that's on the wall to make sure when these walls go down, it's not an overly busy build. Towards the end of this, I will include some footage of just actual kind of like gameplay, just so you can get a feel for how this build looks outside of this first person view. All right, so the first space we're going to check out is the kitchen over to the right in this central hall. And the kitchen is just foul. The kitchen is really foul in the movie. Incredibly messy, cobwebs and dust everywhere. I'm almost positive there's a bathtub in there, so I made sure to include a bathtub. We have a huge, I created a wood burning oven kind of with a fireplace and a campfire. But we also have our little dining area for the family, and then this table kind of in the middle that just has so much stuff on it. I don't know. Look back to the movie. If you don't know what I'm talking about, if you don't have the visual for this, just know that this is a foul space. And the fridge is kind of tucked away here in between the kitchen and the central hall. One thing I want to note here, you can kind of see here an example of this, is that I wanted this house to feel as realistic as possible, and sometimes when you're building a house, you can't make use of every single square inch of your square footage. And so I wanted these rooms to feel a little organic sometimes, a little wobbly. Maybe a wall was, put up in place over something or something like that. But later on when we check out with the walls down, you'll see that there are kind of little cut-off bits, like little cut-off triangles in areas of the house that I ended up putting like different kinds of pipes and cobwebs and dust and stuff in there. I really wanted this to feel like an actual house. And as well, one of the more notable things about the Addams Family house is that Pugsley and Wednesday have some kind of system inside the house to move around. So I thought it would be interesting to have these kind of like little nooks and crannies that maybe they are utilizing. Who knows? And then just beside the fridge in the central hallway, we have Morticia's Conservatory. Very, very, talk about images that like seared into my mind as a kid. Morticia cutting the heads of the roses off just to display the stems. Oh my gosh. So here we are in Morticia's Conservatory. We have roses all over the ground. We have Gomez's chessboard. And I also thought a cowplant made sense in this world. I would have preferred that cowplant to be dead. It originally was, and then when I started recording this, it was alive again for some reason. I have no idea why. But there's Morticia's Conservatory. As we go into the central hall, you'll notice that we have an organ out here. I'm pretty sure that there's a shot in the movie where Lurch is just in a tiny small room playing that organ, and I could not find it. So maybe I'm wrong. There is definitely one in the Seance Room, which we do have in this build and we'll check out later. But FYI, I put in 2 organs because I wanted one downstairs. I wanted to be able to hear it while Sims were playing. And then right next to the organ, we have our first bathroom on the first floor. Definitely in disrepair. We got something crawling out of the sink there. We got who knows what underneath the sink. This is functional. The bathtub works. The toilet works as well. But yep, there's our first functional bathroom, which is surprisingly an important note for something we're going to check out later. And then we're going to check out the living room. So the living room was actually a set that was used a lot in the film, but not very notable just in terms of the design of it. One of the, I think, most recognizable things in this space is these like massive oversized 80s couches that have they're like pastel pink couches with floral patterns on them. I wish we had something like that in The Sims. This was the closest I could get. But yeah, otherwise just a cozy room, big roaring fire, nice place for the family to gather and talk about whether or not Fester is Fester. So we're going to skip the door on the left there. We'll come back to that. And instead, we're going to now go up on this platformed double height ballroom. Here it is, the beautiful green ballroom. This was one of the most beautiful sets in the movie. I tried my best to do it justice in The Sims 4. Here is the ballroom, all ready for the mamushka. Yeah, here's the ballroom, double height. And then we also have this butler ready to greet you as soon as you walk in with a little voodoo doll, just in case you need a little pick-me-up. Yeah, here's our beautiful ballroom, though. I have a violin up there, too. I thought maybe it'd be nice to have a little bit of entertainment if anybody in the family plays or if you want to hire somebody. And then here's just a quick shot of the entrance, because I realized we hadn't looked at that yet. So there's a quick shot of the entrance. And now we're going to go upstairs to the second floor. And so the first bedroom on the second floor is Fester's room. Talk about disgusting rooms. I mean, Fester hasn't been in his bedroom for like 20 years or something like that, right? So his room basically was just like caked in dust. Can't really do that in The Sims. I feel like this came out a little too colorful, and he has some very unique gadgets in his room. This room definitely is the most disgusting, the most cluttered. It has the most kind of oddities and things sitting around. But yeah, here's Fester's room, and there also is there's a little portrait there on his dresser of the twins. But there's Fester's room. Whether or not he be Fester, I will leave up to you. And then right next to Fester's room is one of those rooms that didn't actually have any references. Here is the grandmother's room. What's her name? Let me look up her name. It's Grandmama. So here is Grandmama's room. There may be one shot of this, and it's there's just nothing specific about it. So I figured we would lean into the fact that she's cooking all the time. She has a huge cauldron in here. She has this little foraging table, herbs hanging everywhere. She's got all different types of potions and things and creatures sitting on her dresser, another small cauldron on the ground. I feel like this really fits the Addams family house. It's just not necessarily Grandmama's actual bedroom because we didn't get to see it. And then Grandmama's neighbor is the one and only Wednesday Addams. One of the things I love about Wednesday's room is her bed has a little octopus paint on the front, so I tried to do that here too. And then I also created this custom guillotine for her doll heads. I spent a lot of time on that. I hope y'all think that looks like a guillotine because it took me more time than I am willing to admit to create. Yeah, Wednesday's room is pretty small, nothing too wild going on in here. We have the doll head guillotine, some weapons sitting around, and of course on top of her dresser, a blowtorch, because why not? Here's Pugsley's bedroom. The thing I loved about his bedroom is he has these beautiful mint beds, they have this like really ornate pattern on them. I wish we had something like that in The Sims, but yeah, we have that. And then his other most notable defining feature of Pugsley's room is all of the street signs that he has stolen to create absolute havoc in his town. So his room is just plastered in all of the signs that he's stolen. And then across from Pugsley's room is actually the scene that starts the entire first movie. So this is the clock that is kind of built into a small dollhouse. And if you remember, Thing is the first thing that we see in the movie. He's acknowledging a specific time on the clock and then runs through the hallway in the way that Thing does. So yeah, I had to make sure to include it. And then I have two small little action figures there to represent Morticia and Gomez, of course. On the topic of Morticia and Gomez, they are the last bedroom that we have on this floor. So we only see a very little bit of their bedroom in the movie. We basically just see a bed and some windows. I wanted to give them a proper suite in their own home. And so they have a good portion of the second floor. The first area is a little seating area, a couple seating area, which I think is very lovely. They have a huge fireplace, some of Morticia's beautiful dead rose bushes, and his and hers armchair. And then as we back out, we move through the space and we will go into the sleeping quarters. So here is their bed. Nothing wild going on here. They have a really beautifully ornate dresser. Morticia has a spot to get ready and apply that beautiful red lipstick every morning. And some champagne, of course. And then out here we have a functional porch, actually, where Gomez hits all those golf balls right into his neighbor's house. I wanted to make sure to include that here. So just to give you a sense of space, this is where we are in the build right now. And then that concludes all of the rooms on the second floor. So now we're going to head back out into the hallway and into this final door, and there is a ladder up to the attic. So here's the attic. Very creepy, very dark. Oh, and the pillars just disappeared. So here we have our first bathroom. Something's growing out of there. That is a non-functional bathtub, but there is a functional sink and toilet in there. And then right next to the bathroom, we have our seance room. You can see to the left, we have our second organ, and we have a beautiful crystal ball in the center there, a bunch of candles around, big fireplace, maybe a family portrait above it. Yeah, this was a great scene in the movie, so I had to make sure to include the seance room. And then across the hall, we have... This is the best I could do for an electric chair, okay? We have a weather machine here that's kind of like the controls for it. This is all walkable. Sims can actually sit in that. This is the best I could do for an electric chair in The Sims 4. And I also thought when I placed the weather machine down, we should have a functional weather machine. That feels like something that the Addams family would be able to do. So right over in the corner here, we do have a functional weather machine with a little hole in the ceiling that allows for it to work. So yeah, this is just like a simple kind of like attic area. There's a bunch of leftover stuff up there, things that felt appropriate for the build. We also have this huge cannon in the hallway, which I'm happy to find. And then we have, okay, I'm happy that I was able to include this space, but I wish that I could have executed it a little bit more, in a little bit more of a grand nature. But here is Gomez's train room. There's only one railroad object that would size down small enough to actually work, and there's also only 2 doll houses that really look like actual houses. So I couldn't really execute that in the way that I wanted to, but I felt it was very important to have a train room, and so there it is in the attic. And then as we exit the train room, just behind us is Lurch's bedroom. There's only one shot of this in the movie, and it's of Lurch sitting on his bed doing cross stitch or knitting or crocheting or something like that. So I could not resist having Lurch's bedroom included in this build. And Lurch also has access to the roof in his bedroom. So there is access to the roof. We're not going to check it out right now because there's nothing going on up there, but there is roof access, and that is in Lurch's bedroom. So yeah, I also gave him a couple art supplies and stuff. I think Lurch, has a lot more feelings than he's able to let on, so he can maybe express through his art. That concludes everything on the 3rd floor, on the 2nd floor, and we're going to go back down to the 1st floor and go into that final door that we skipped over a little bit earlier. So here is Gomez's office. Gomez's office is such an incredible set in the movie. I wish that I could have been a little bit more true to that. What makes it so incredible is that Gomez has this wild collection of swords and weapons that are displayed in patterns on the walls that without the use of mods, I just couldn't do in The Sims 4. Unfortunately, we don't even really have the objects for it. So I did the best I could here, but here's Gomez's office. He has these huge vases that are just stuffed with weapons. On his desk, he has a briefcase that's stuffed with money, and below it, there's a duffel bag with money in it. And then from the vantage point of his desk, we get a picture of this horse that is in the movie, I swear, but we only ever see its feet. So annoying. I wish we could have seen the whole thing. But we also get a view of Gomez's study, which, while we're at it, let's make sure we check that out too. So here's Gomez's study. Not incredibly accurate to the film, but definitely has the same feel. I wanted to include a little chaise lounge in here for some light reading. And for the observant among us, you may have also noticed that there's a secret door leading to a ladder, of course. And as we go down the ladder, we are led to the caverns below the Addams family manor. Okay, I'm going to apologize up front because if you are interested in downloading this, please know that I used a lot of rocks and debug objects from Batu here. I know a lot of people don't have that pack. I'm sorry. They just really fit the vibe. But here are the caverns below the Addams family manor. We have a huge pool here, or as huge as this lot would allow. That leads over to the secret room where Gomez and Fester, it sounds like spent a lot of their childhood, or I don't know. But here we are. We do have a big projector just like they had in the movie. This is from that toddler pack, and I just put a bunch of items over it to kind of hide the fact that it's not for kids. But we have a big projector there. Basically, this room is just stuffed with everything that Gomez loves. And, we have a punching bag, we have a ping pong table, a beautiful necklace, all the kind of things that I imagine Gomez has collected over his life and are special to him are here in this room. And then again, for those who are paying attention, you may have noticed another not so secretly hidden door behind this painting, which leads to yet another ladder. And as we go down this ladder, we get to the Addams. Y'all heard that? They're trying to get the Addams family treasure. Anyway, the Addams family treasure. Here it is. Now, again, if you're going to download this, I will say that this room is dozens and dozens and dozens of mirrors stacked on top of one another and a lot of lights. So if you have a older computer, you may need to delete some mirrors in this space. But this was such a cool set in the movie, I had to include it. But we got simoleons all over the ground, piles of money. I wish that we had big piles of... Wow. Anyway, I wish that we had big piles of money that I could have stacked on the ground here, so it was just really flooded with riches. But I figured a collection of treasure also suffices. So this is deep in the bowels of the Addams family manor, behind the caverns, behind the secret space that Fester and Gomez share. We have everything we could ever dream of. that is the Addams Family Manor. I would love to know what y'all think about this. This is the Addams Family Manor. Oh, also, really quickly, after filming this, I did add a couple lights on the front. I lowered the intensity of them, but I added a couple lights just to help light this up. So if you do download this and you see the photo on the gallery, you'll see it's a little bit better lit on the outside too. The point is definitely for it to be dim and dark, but I think it needed a little bit of accent lighting. Anyway, what do y'all think? How'd y'all feel about this build? Is it creepy? Is it Addams Family? Did it give you the vibe of the first movie? If you're a fan, are you interested in watching the movie now if you weren't a fan previously? As I'm kind of like wrapping up here, just as an FYI, in the background, I'm just gonna have some footage that I had mentioned earlier of what this looks like during gameplay with all the walls down and up, just so you can kind of get a feel of what this actually looks like. I would love to know what you think of the build. If this were an Airbnb, which room would you choose to stay in? This lot is now available on the gallery for download. My name on the gallery is the same as it is here, which is just Patrick Creates. If you like this build, please consider liking the video, because first off, YouTube likes that, but second off, and more importantly, I would like that. Thank you very much. Honestly, that's so nice. I know that liking videos can change the things that you see in your feed, so anytime somebody likes my video, I always think it's very kind and a sweet thing to do, so. And I also, wait a minute, hold on, I need to look up her name. Bentley House Minis. Have y'all seen Bentley House Minis? Yeah, okay. If you haven't seen Bentley House Minis, this was something that floated over to me in the beginning of the pandemic. This creator on YouTube has been working on a dollhouse of the Addams family for the past 11 years of her life, and I spent so many hours with her as she created that dollhouse. Absolutely incredible. Highly recommend. I'm gonna link her channel in the description because, I don't know, if you like The Sims, maybe you like miniatures as well, like I do. Yeah, really cool. But shout out to her because she was also a big inspiration for why I wanted to create this in the first place. Because, wow, the absolute dedication and artistry. Top tier. Anyway, that is all I got today. So thank you for watching, and until next time, y'all.